Messenger by Lois Lowry, Chapter 10. The meeting to discuss and vote on the petition began in the orderly, careful way such meetings had always been handled. Leader stood on the platform, read the petition in his strong, clear voice, and opened the meeting to debate. One by one, the people of village stood and gave their opinions. The new ones had come. Matty could see the woman he had met on the path, standing beside a tall, light-haired boy who must be Vladik. The two were with a group of new ones who had a place apart, since they could not vote. Small children, bored, played along the edge of the pine grove. Matty had once been like them, when he was new here, and hadn't liked meetings or debates. But now he stood with Seer and the other adults. He paid attention. He had not even brought Frolic, who usually accompanied Matty everywhere. Today the puppy was left at home, whimpering behind the closed door as they walked away. It was frighteningly obvious now, with the population gathered, that something terrible was happening. At Trademart it had been evening, dark, and Matty had been so interested in the proceedings that he had not noticed many individuals, only those who went to the platform, like Mentor, and the woman who had been so oddly cruel to her husband as they started home. Now, though, it was bright daylight. Matty was able to watch everyone, and to his horror he could see the changes. Near him stood his friend Ramon, with his parents and younger sister. It was Ramon's mother who had asked to trade for a fur jacket and been denied. But they had had a gaming machine for quite a while, and so a trade had been made in the past. Matty looked carefully at his friend's family. He had not seen Ramon since the day recently when he had suggested a fishing expedition and been told that Ramon was not well. Ramon glanced at Matty and smiled, but Matty held his breath for a moment, dismayed to see that indeed his friend was ill. Ramon's face was no longer tanned and rosy-cheeked, but instead seemed thin and gray. Beside him, his little sister seemed sick too. Her eyes were sunken, and Matty could hear her cough. Once, he knew, her mother would have leaned down to tend the little girl at the sound of such a cough. Now, while Matty watched, the woman simply shook the child roughly by a shoulder and said, "Shh." One by one the people spoke, and one by one Matty identified those who had traded. Some of those who had been among the most industrious and kindest, and the most stalwart citizens of village, now went to the platform and shouted out their wish that the border be closed so that we, Matty shuddered at the use of we, would not have to share the resources any more. We need all the fish for ourselves. Our school is not big enough to teach their children too, only our own. They can't even speak right. We can't understand them. They have too many needs. We don't want to take care of them. And finally, we've done it long enough. Now and then, a lone citizen, untouched by trade, would go to the platform and try to speak. They spoke of the history of village, how each of them there had fled poverty and cruelty and been welcome at this new place that had taken them in. The blind man spoke eloquently of the day he had been brought here, half dead, and been tended for months by the people of village, until, though he was still without a sight, it had become his true home. Matty had been wondering whether he, too, would go up and speak. He wanted to, for surely village had also become his true home, and saved him, but he felt a little shy. Then he heard the blind man begin to speak on his behalf. My boy came here 6 years ago as a child. Many of you remember the Matty he was then. He fought and swore and stole. Matty liked the sound of the phrase, my boy, which he had never heard the blind man use before, but he was embarrassed to see people turn and look at him. Village changed him and made him what he is now, the blind man said. He will receive his true name soon. For a moment, Matty hoped that Leader, who was still standing on the platform, would hold up his hand to call for silence, would call Matty, place his hand on Matty's forehead, then announce the true name. It happened that way sometimes. Messenger. Matty held his breath, hoping for that. But instead he heard another voice, not Leader's. I remember what he was like. If we close the border, we won't have to do that anymore. We won't have to deal with thieves and braggarts, and people who have lice in their hair the way Matty did then when he came. Matty turned to look. It was a woman. He was stunned as if someone had slapped him. It was his own neighbor, the very woman who had made clothes for him when he came. He remembered standing there in his rags while she measured him and then put on her thimble to stitch the clothing for him. She had a soft voice then and talked gently to him while she sewed. Now she had a sewing machine, a very fancy one, and bolts of fabric with which she created fine clothing. Now the blind man stitched the simple things that he and Matty needed. so she too had traded and was turning not only on him, but on all new ones. Her voice incited others, and now large numbers of people were calling out, "Close village! Close the border!" Maddie had never seen Leader look so sad. When it was over, and the vote to close village had been finalized, Maddie trudged home beside the blind man. At first they were silent. There was nothing to be said. Their world had changed now. After a bit, Maddie tried to talk, to be cheerful, to make the best of things. "I suppose he'll send me out now to all the other villages and communities with the message. I'll be doing a lot of traveling. I'm glad it isn't winter yet. It's hard in snow." "He came in snow," the blind man said. "He knows what it's like." Maddie wondered for a moment what he was talking about. Who? Oh yes, he thought, the little sled. "Leader knows better than anyone about things," Maddie remarked. "And he's still younger than many." "He sees beyond," Seer said. "He has a special gift. Some people do. Leader sees beyond." Maddie was startled. He had noticed the quality of Leader's pale blue eyes, how they seemed to have a kind of vision most people didn't have. But he had not heard it described that way before. It made him think of what he had only recently come to know about himself. "So some people, like Leader, have a special gift?" "It's true," Seer replied. "Is it always the same? Is it always, what did you say, seeing beyond?" They were nearing the curve in the path where it branched off and led to their home place. Maddie watched in awe, as he always did, how the blind man felt the coming curve and knew even in his darkness where to turn. "No, it's different for different people." "Do you have it? Is that how you know where to walk?" The blind man laughed. "No, I've learned that. I've been without eyes for many years. At first I stumbled and bumped into things. People had to help me all the time. Of course, in the old days in village, people were quick to help and guide." His voice became bitter. "Who knows what will happen now?" They had arrived at the house and could hear Frolic scratching at the door and woofing in excitement at the sound of their approach. Maddie didn't want the conversation to end here. He wanted to tell the blind man about himself, about his secret. "So you don't have a special gift like Leader, but other people do?" "My daughter does. She told me of it that night, the night you took me to her." "Kira? She has a special gift?" "Yes, your old friend Kira, the one who taught you manners." Maddie ignored that. "She must be all grown up now. I saw her last time I was there, but it's been almost 2 years." "But Seer, what do you mean?" The blind man stopped unexpectedly on the steps leading to the door. "Maddie," he said with sudden urgency. "What?" "I've just realized. The border will be closing in 3 weeks." "Yes?" Seer sat down on the steps. He put his head in his hands. Sometimes he did that when he was thinking. Maddie sat beside him and waited. He could hear Frolic inside, throwing himself against the door in frustration. Finally, the blind man spoke. "I want you to go to your old village, Maddie. Leader will be sending you anyway with the message. He'll no doubt send you to several places. But Maddie, I want you to go to your old village first. Leader will understand." "But I don't." "My daughter. She said someday she would come here to live, when the time was right. You know her, Maddie. You know she had things to accomplish there first." "Yes, and she has, Seer. I could tell when I was last there. Things have changed. People take good care of their children now, and—" He hesitated, unable to speak for a moment, because the memory of his own abuse had returned. Then he added simply, "Kira made things change. Things are better now." "There are only 3 weeks left, Maddie. After the border closes, it will be too late. She won't be allowed to come. You must bring her here before that happens. If you don't, Maddie, I will never see her again." "It always seems strange to me when you say see." The blind man smiled. "I see in my heart, Maddie." Maddie nodded. "I know you do. I'll bring her to you. I'll leave here tomorrow." Together they rose. Evening was coming. Maddie opened the door and Frolic leaped into his arms.